Hello, hello. How are you? How's the weekend so far? Let me go in and check if I'm already live. Right. All right. It looks like I'm live. Wait, am I? Okay, I'm live. All right. Welcome back to Ask Jason Anything about meta advertising and digital marketing. So, if this is the first time you see me, my name is Jason. I'm a meta ads optimization strategist from Malaysia. So what I do is I help brands optimize their advertising and marketing funnel when it comes to, especially if you run ads on Meta and you're facing some challenges. And based on my experience in the past many years, helping over 6,000 over brands and Meta advertisers from over 50 countries, what I realize is that a lot of time the real problem is not the ad. You see, like based on my experience, I think it's about like 70% of the problem when your campaign is not performing. It's not because of the ad, it's because of the funnel, or there are certain things that you need to do differently in order to get different results. So I call this off ad optimization. On ad optimization, of course, that's what we do, right? But basically, based on the numbers that we get. So this is how I work with my clients, right? We dive into the meta advertising metrics, and we are able to identify what really causes the problem. I mean, if it's really the ad, we fix it. But if we see some numbers that is showing that we have good results in terms of add to cart, but we are not converting, then we definitely need to do something. Or maybe you have been getting good leads in terms of the cost per lead is good, and then the number is like it's good, but then again you're not able to convert your leads. That's also another problem, right? The reason why we spend money to get leads is because we want to convert them and move our business. But then again, if it's not converting, then it defeats the purpose. So I also help brands to reframe the framework or even reframe the offer. That's what we do. Basically, yeah, there are many things that we can do, right? So in order to make your ads advertising ready, we actually encourage any businesses who wants to start running ads to make sure that you have the whole funnel fixed. Yeah. So basically, that's what I do, right? So if you need help, if you have been running ads and you kind of like having some issues in terms of like optimizing your campaign, meaning you want to get more ROAS, you've been getting good ROAS, as in like return on advertising spend, but it comes to a point where it's plateau and stagnant for a while. How can you push it? Sometimes, in fact, it's always not the answer most of the time. So the right problem. All right. So what I do here is basically, by the way, if you need help, right, you can always click on the link in the description or the link in my YouTube channel. Just go over. I assume that you're watching this on my YouTube channel. There is a link that you can actually book a quick 30 minutes discussion or 20 minutes discussion rather to see whether we are a good fit to work together, because I do help brands on a coaching and consultation basis whereby we work together, we identify the problems, we fix one issue or one continuous right now, and see if there is any way that we can quickly. It's possible, but I would say it's definitely not as effective as if we work together for long term. But if you just want me to come in and look at your campaign data to give you quick recommendations and build a plan around it, yes, you can. Like also in my YouTube channel, there's a link that you can book a direct one-on-one, but I also can move up here. This is the link that you can scan and book a one-on-one 30 minutes Zoom call with me. It's a scan and pay kind of thing. Uh, Immediately, it's a one-off thing. Let's come in and take a look at, like the best way to fix the problem. Yeah. But then again, if you have any questions that is meta advertising and digital marketing, we encourage that you try to search for an answer What's going on? All right. Some glitch over here. Luckily, I was watching this on the side. Okay. I guess we're back. Let's wait for this. Right. Sometimes things just happen, right? Yeah. Scan this QR code. Basically, we can just talk about how we can fix your problem right away. Right. But if you have any Meta Ads related questions, feel free to ask your questions. First, go to my YouTube channel and search for an answer because that's what I do here, right? Every Sunday night, I go live for 30 minutes, mainly to answer questions that I get from my community about meta advertising and digital marketing. But if you have any questions, first thing I would recommend that you try to search for an answer on my YouTube channel. I posted over 1,000 videos, closing to 1,500 now. It's a lot. Probably I've addressed something similar to the challenge that you're facing. But if you cannot find an answer, doesn't matter. Just post your question as a comment on any of my YouTube videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screenshot your question. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to answer your question right away. Right? So today we don't have any questions that I received as a comment on my YouTube channel. So I just brought up some of the questions that I received from my clients and my community as we work together, whether it's through the one-on-one quick one-off call or my coaching client. So the first question I have here, this is really a very interesting question I received from my client. We just started working together. This is a new product my client is planning to launch. So before they want to enter the market, the first question they asked me was one of the first few questions, how to price a product that is effective for advertising. That's the best question ever. Before you price a product, you need to factor in that you're going to run ads for it. And in order to make sure that you're making the most out of it, the best way is to price it as high as possible. But of course, we understand that you may be selling something that is already available in the market. Your margin may not be high enough. Well, in that case, then I would say try to fight for the best margin possible so that we can actually get it. You see, just put it this way. Imagine if your margin is 30%, all right, that means you need to get at least 3 ROAS to break even, meaning every dollar you spend, you need to get at least $3 back. All right. So let's say if you're if you're selling something at $100, you get what I mean? Your cost per result cannot be higher than $33. Otherwise, you'll be in the red. You get what I mean? Because that's the minimum. But of course, we know that it's not just that, right? There are many other things that we need to take into consideration, like the shipping fee, the management fee, the storage fee, and all these things would actually affect the cost. So you need to really calculate. But if you ask me this question, if you're selling something that is totally new in the market, which is what happened to my client, this one, launching a totally new market. They went through R&D, they created something that is totally new in the market. In my opinion, all right, price it as high as possible. Yeah. So if you can, I've seen my client price it at, at least double. Let's say if your cost is $50, price it at 100. If your cost is, if you can, push it to 150, because you have the advantage because you have a new product over here. The higher you price it, the more room that you can use for a lot of other things like advertising, like even you can actually use it. There are room for you to use for promotion, offers, and stuff like that. So price it as high as possible. You have to imagine, let's say if your price is your cost is $50 and you're selling it at $100, okay, then you can safely do like the 2x ROAS, meaning every dollar you spend, you just need to make sure that you get $2 back. That gives you a lot more room for you to advertise. And of course, when it comes to calculating this, we also need to consider another thing, which is I just want to make sure that whether your product is, is there a higher lifetime value for your product? Meaning, does your audience come back and buy again? If you're selling something that is, regular, like one of my clients, he's selling adult diapers. All right. So for adult diapers, we have a different room for this thing. You see, he has only about 30% budget. But because adult diapers is something that once you like a brand, you will continue to buy it. And we have a 60 to 70% return rate, meaning all the customers would really buy again. At least 60 to 70% of them will buy again in the next 3 months. That means you're golden. So for this, right, we can actually tolerate for even like a 1x ROAS, which is still fine. Because if you have a 1x ROAS and you have a 30% margin, meaning you are losing money for the first order. All right. But then again, it's fine because you know that this 70% of the customers who come in will buy again. Then eventually you will have to calculate your lifetime value differently, meaning you don't want to look at over a year time, how many times they come back and purchase. So that gives you a roughly idea about your lifetime value. But if you're not selling something that people will come back and buy again, then you need to really think about your front end revenue. Otherwise, it's quite difficult. So really, in terms of pricing the product, this is how I would recommend. Because another thing about pricing a product is this. If you price it high, say for example, if your cost is $50, you push it to $150, doesn't matter. Because you can always say that I'm pushing it to $100, but now I'm giving a 30% discount and I'm selling it at $100. Do you think it's easier for people to take a bite? Even though it's really on the high side, but it's easier for people to buy it because they feel that they are earning something. I mean, they get some benefit out of it because it's already at a discounted price. So if you have a really low margin, meaning if you price it lower, it's definitely harder to bring it down or to bring it up. That's what I mean. So yeah, really, if you can price it as high as possible, give yourself enough cushion to plan a lot of things. Moving forward, you have to think, stretch yourself away, right? Stretch it for a year and at least 2 years to the front and see how much can you make per order, and is there any lifetime value cushion for you to build your customer and to actually kind of build your advertising plan. Because in my opinion, in every advertising, you first have to make sure that you're not losing money. Then we talk about how do we make money. So that's really about the pricing itself. So yeah, there are many ways to look into this thing, but I would say this is something that I would not be able to just give you a framework and follow to the dot, because every business is different, every situation is different, and every market is different. So every product is different as well. So if you need help in terms of pricing your product, we can actually have a quick discussion where you can scan this QR code, and basically this is for you to book a 30-minute Zoom call and pay for it right away. We can jump on a discussion and quickly discuss this thing, because pricing, in my opinion, especially if you are yet to launch the product into the market, you really need to think this through. And based on my experience, I may not be able to give you the best answer in the world, but at least you have somebody else who have worked with thousands of brands from around the world to give you a second opinion. Yeah, like I said, I may not be the best person to solve the problem, but what you need right now is another perspective, which can be very useful in terms of determining your next step and to help you make sure that, avoid making the mistakes that can cost you a lot of money and trouble, even, to the failure of your business potentially in the future. So especially when it comes to this, if you need help on this, scan this QR code, book a 30-minute Zoom call. Let's jump on it. And yeah, I look forward to work with you. So that's the first question that I get, which is very, very important, especially if you are new to a business. Now, another question that I have here is, it's coming from a business that has been running ads for a while. They've been getting about like 4 to 5 ROAS, which is very, very decent. And they want to push the ROAS. What happened is, okay, they've been trying to increase the budget because they thought that by increasing the budget, I'm able to get more money out of it. But then again, it's not as straightforward. So how can we push the ROAS further? Now, my first method, when I work with any client who wants to push the ROAS further, I wouldn't say scale the budget right away, because usually that's the last thing I would do. So the first thing I would do is I would dive into the data and see if there are any, like leakages in the entire funnel. We need to fix them first. Like, for example, recently I just experienced a case. They've been getting 10x ROAS, to be frank, about 10 to 12x ROAS, but the margin is really low. But at 10x to 12x ROAS is comfortable for them. But when I dive into their campaign, I realize there is a big gap between add to cart and purchase. Now you see that? Meaning, let's say I think they have about like 10x, meaning they have about like 70 add to cart, for example, and they have only 7 purchase. That means we have a big gap over here. So what can we do? We definitely want to look at the, like from the cart to purchase, is there anything that is stopping the audiences from taking the action? Whether do we need to change the button? Do we need to, like take away certain steps that is stopping people from proceeding to the, like the purchase, the next step? Or is there anything that we can do? So aside from tweaking the landing page, that's one thing that we can look into. We will also look at if there is any other thing that we can optimize. Then we realize the client doesn't have any cut recovery email system in place. Meaning this is quite important, because the moment a person add to cart, meaning they are interested, and if they try to check out, meaning you'll be capturing their email addresses, you can actually, in fact, all e-commerce system allows you to send an email follow-up and, remind them about their item in the cart and try to bring them back to sell. Usually, we will get at least 5 to 10% of the cart recovered. Imagine if that can happen to you, meaning you will get, if it's 70, you're getting only 7 purchases, you can potentially get 7 more sales, 3 to 7 more sales for free. That's really something that a lot of brands don't do. But then again, when should we send the email? How many times we need to send the email? What are the messages we need to have in the email itself plays also a very significant role, because before you want to send that, you probably need to get somebody else to come and look at your email marketing system to see whether does your email, whatever SPF and all that is being set right, so that it doesn't go into your junk, because that is also an opportunity lost. But then again, these are all the tiny little things that you can do. And on the other hand, we also realize that this client doesn't have what do we call a retargeting campaign dedicated setup. And we realize their current top of funnel campaign has been running at a high frequency, but then again, it's over even like the 30 days, they're running at about like 3 frequency, meaning they're losing a lot of money repeating the ads to people who have seen it too many times. See, retargeting is not something that you want to run for long term. In my experience, most of the time, we only retarget for 7 to 14 days. Because let me ask you this question. What do you sell that your audience need to think for about like 30 days to consider whether to buy from you or someone else? The buying intent, whether it has been converted by you or your competitor, or is being subsided away already, meaning you don't want to follow them for that long. So setting up a retargeting is not the same as having a broad targeting Advantage Plus campaign running over and over again. So that's how we fix everything. So we identify what are the leaking points in the campaign, and then we fix them before we talk about increasing. You just imagine if we do all these things, if the email recovery comes in, you probably can just push your ROAS by at least 1 to 2 points, maybe at no cost. And when you are able to apply the retargeting, when the retargeting can give you maybe like 15 to 20x ROAS, when you balance up, you probably will get like 6, 7 ROAS. There are many ways to increase your ROAS before you even think about putting more budget into it, because I've seen so many of them, so many under optimized campaign. And the only thing most advertisers do is to, push the budget, but it's actually throwing money into the drain or into the ocean. So before you do that, that's why I always recommend, before you scale, look at your whole funnel first, making sure that you're not having a lot of leaking points in your campaign before you push it. So if you need help, all you need to do is scan this QR code, and that will take you to a link that you can book a 30-minute Zoom call by me and pay for it. So it's a 30-minute Zoom call. Is it enough? Yes, trust me. I've worked with thousands of advertisers from all around the world. These 30 minutes will allow me to do 3 things. First, I dive into your campaign metrics. From the metric itself, we are already able to unearth a lot of essential information. Of course, we will look at your landing page, your checkout page to confirm the problem, whatever it may be. So once we really identify and confirm the problem, the next thing is, let's fix it. Basically, I will give you a plan on what are the things that you can potentially tweak to take your ROAS to the next step. So yeah, that is already good enough for a 30-minute Zoom call to give you a plan. So yeah, if you need help, scan this QR code, and I look forward to work with you. All right. So the next question I have here is, this is a very common problem. If you do lead gen, let me ask you, usually I would say less than 20% of the leads are actionable, meaning in a way they respond to you, and then maybe 5 to 10% of them will turn into an appointment. But that may not be the case for a lot of brands out there, because let me put it this way. There are so many lead gen campaigns, okay, that are actually not advertising ready. What do you mean by not advertising ready? You see, let me put it this way. If you run lead gen, my first question usually I will ask my client, how many times you will actually contact your lead, and how quickly you will actually start talking to them. You get what I mean? It's really important, because a lot of those lead gen so-called advertisers, especially if you're running it on a solo prono kind of plan or setting, you don't have a lot of time to do the follow-up. But this is the key. A lot of these people need a lot of follow-up. So you need to actually build a follow-up. A follow-up SOP usually will take 5 to 7, some even like more than 10 touch points. It's really important, because these people are just giving away their contact to you. It's your responsibility to convert them. And in order to convert them, you need to do a lot more things. So a few things that are really effective. First, the SOP of follow-up is really one of the most important thing. So usually you will definitely have to follow up at least to contact them within, in fact, according to Meta, 4 hours. If you can't do 4 hours, at least not more than 24 hours. But here's the thing, a lot of those lead gen companies, they probably will just, follow up after they accumulate the leads for a week. You say, I don't have a lot. Why should I just keep on jumping on it? But you need to. Otherwise, people forget. You really forget. So that's the thing, right? So first, the follow-up SOP. How often you need to follow up, and the whole sequence, you need to put it into what do we call um, a CRM, a customer relation management. So the second thing that I use, that's one case study, right? My client, they are actually selling something that is, it's like a course. They want to teach people how to start a business online, which is, it's a legit business. Of course, it's not something shady. But because they are new in the online scene, because they have been running this business for a long time, yes, it's what they do. But then again, they are nobody. They don't have a lot of reputation, so-called link back built up, like videos and whatnot on the, over the internet. People don't believe in them. So another thing that we built for them was, instead of trying to figure out how to, of course, the automation and everything, the SOP is in place. We built an optimized YouTube channel to warm them up. So when I say optimize YouTube channel, it's not something that you just create a YouTube channel and throw everything in. No, we need to strategically create content for the YouTube channel that is intended to be shown to your leads, because we will build this into your lead gen funnel as well. So what we do is we build an optimized YouTube channel. We identify that they need to create, and then we build it in a way we don't need to have a lot of followers on the YouTube channel, but making sure that it's optimized, meaning when they come in, you show them the right information that they need to know, that is synchronized and connected to their intention, and that really can boost the confidence. As in, like, at least people come in and see, they watch your video. When a person watch your video, they felt like they have talked to you, and that will change their perception towards you, and that builds the trust factor as well. So yeah, we spent some time. Of course, it took us about like a month or two to really build it, because it takes time. They are not ready for the YouTube part. But I'm not saying that you need to do YouTube, but trust me, video is the most powerful way to build trust. Seriously. Now, some alternative here is we can do podcasts, but that takes a different kind of, like a commitment, because if you start a podcast channel, you need to keep doing it. But for YouTube, you can be just built for, like for your leads. It's possible. You don't need to have a lot of update, but at least the foundation has to be there. So yeah, once we have a YouTube channel, we plug it into the lead gen whole funnel, meaning that we would actually immediately, at certain point, once they submit a lead, we will start feeding them information about the YouTube channel before we invite them to go for the call. So that's really something that changed the game as well, because first, we will not just tell them that, look, this is my YouTube channel, look at it. No, we plan a series of emails to send them this thing. Even, okay, in the follow-up sequence, the client does WhatsApp, we build that in WhatsApp as well. We make sure that the YouTube videos and the channel that we build, are being delivered to the lead before we ask them or invite them to book a call with us. That totally changed the thing. My client actually see at least 50% more book calls, and finally they see some conversion. Otherwise, before that, they were struggling because they couldn't prove themselves as the authority, or the, what do we call, like the authority in the industry, or in the field that they are talking about. So that totally changed everything. But of course, we have a lot of other things that can help you boost the lead quality. But I would say a lot of times the work can be done in the most easy way by creating videos that speaks directly to the audience intent. But of course, building a YouTube channel, even if it's just for the lead conversion itself, takes a little bit of work, because you don't want to just simply keep. And when we build a YouTube channel, we also want to build in the lead gen email, a so-called funnel in the YouTube channel as well. Meaning, we want to make sure that the videos that we build are search friendly, and and that can create. In fact, now my client is already seeing some lead coming in from the YouTube side, because people start, like coming to the YouTube channel because they were being ranked when people are searching for certain things. So that helps bring in organic people, and they are already seeing some bookings and even sales that they generate from the YouTube channel, and that is already kind of like causing them to want to invest more resources and time on the YouTube. So here's the thing. Advertising is not the only channel you get sales and leads. You need to start looking at other ways. And to be frank, YouTube is one thing, and making sure that your content are being picked up by the AI, ChatGPT, and everything, that's another story that we need to talk about. But eventually, building a channel gives you a different authority to your lead, and that can really, really boost your lead conversion. So if you need help, you've been running lead gen campaign and you can't seem to really find a very good way to improve your conversion, I would say there are many things. But like I said, this is really something that is unique to the business. Every business is different. I won't be able to have a framework that you can use to plug into anything, because if you talk about YouTube, that's another framework that we need to build on. So basically, I would definitely have to understand your situation to give you more personalized recommendations. So if you need help, scan this QR code, then you can book a 30-minute Zoom call with me and pay for it. So what we can do is we can dive in. I'll ask you questions. We can look into your campaign metrics. We can look at, like even certain questions I would ask you in terms of trying to understand the response that you get from the audience, or if there's any information that we can kind of use to leverage and build something different for your framework. So yeah, if you need help, scan this QR code, and I look forward to work with you. All right, so that brings us to 30 minutes mark. So this is what I do. I go live every Sunday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time to answer questions for 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, all you need to do is first search on my YouTube channel to see if I have posted any video related to the question that you're having. If you cannot find an answer, doesn't matter. All you need to do is just going to pick it up and I'm going to answer that. For joining me and even watching the replay. And I look forward to talk to you again. All right. Good night. See you. Bye.